Okay, I'm looking for volunteers. So who is going to volunteer? Okay, I wouldn't actually punish 313 क्योंकि उसने मतलब मेरे सलाम का जवाब दे दिया. Doesn't mean I should punish him. Okay, I'll pick someone randomly. 016. 016.
सर मेरे पास लाइट नहीं है, मैं नहीं कर सकता, नहीं तो मैं कर लेता, बाकी इशू कोई नहीं है. ये
नहीं कोई इशू नहीं है. As I said, I mean, I wouldn't punish you. I wouldn't punish you. It's not punishment. I mean, why am I using the word punishment? ठीक है? Trust me, if you volunteer for the next 1 hour, I'll keep you engaged. ठीक है? जिसमें आपके chances learning के बहुत ज़्यादा हैं. 016 is sending me messages. I'm sure. चलिए मैं guess कर लेता हूँ. Most likely. I do not see any messages here. Okay, let me check from my microphone.
सर वो कह रहा है कि माइक्रोफोन उसका नहीं वर्क कर रहा.
माइक्रोफोन उसका नहीं है. ठीक, सही है. ठीक है, कोई बात नहीं. Let me pick someone else. 076. I think I picked 076 last time as well. 076.
Yes, sir.
अच्छा, आप वॉलंटियर कर लें आज. ठीक है?
Okay, sir.
Okay, perfect. Let's start. Okay, so what's your name? Zero 76. आप अपना नाम बता दें please.
Sir, my name is Anza.
ANZA?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right, so in the middle, if I ask you any question, it does not mean that actually I'm checking your level of preparedness or your knowledge. ठीक है? So do not feel embarrassed. ठीक है?
Okay, sir.
ठीक है. Let me share my screen. All right. Okay. Are you able to see my screen, Hansa?
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. So what we will do, we'll actually start chapter number 4. It's called, let me check the name of the chapter. Yes, nominal and effective interest rates. The topic is extremely logical. Okay, let me provide you a quick recap of chapter number 2. Okay, if you remember, this is the formula that we derived. So in order to calculate the future value, okay, this is the formula that we are using. Can anybody tell me what is this factor called? 1 plus I raised to the power n.
FP.
Which factor is it?
FP.
It is FP factor. Thank you. Okay. This one, the second one, is PF factor. Okay. In chapter number 2 and chapter number 3, our assumption was that payment period is equal to interest period. So if you remember some of the examples that I gave you, for example, quarterly interest rates were applied to quarterly payments and monthly interest rates were applied to monthly payments. In other words, I cannot, so let me write it down, cannot apply quarterly rates to yearly payments. Okay, so we cannot do that. But of course, I mean, if you make some adjustments, we can certainly do that. So we have to adjust the interest rates and make it comparable with the payment period. This is the purpose of chapter number 4. Okay, most of you ask me this question. Okay, what happens, let's say, if the interest rate given is yearly and the payment itself is monthly? What do we do? Okay, so we make some adjustments. In chapter number 4, we will learn about those adjustments. Trust me, these are simple concepts, but in my opinion, they are sometimes a little bit confusing as well. Okay, this is what I can tell you from my experience with the last few batches. Okay, so you have to concentrate on this lecture. If you do not understand any concept, please interrupt me in the middle. Okay, stop me and I'll be happy to explain it further. So the contents of this chapter is, number 1, understanding the nominal and effective interest rates. Okay, so what do we mean by nominal interest rate and what do we mean by effective interest rate? Okay, understanding the interest rate statements. So the interest rates are stated in a certain way. So if you are looking at a problem, okay, the problem will contain some information about interest rates. In other words, interest rates are stated in a certain way. Okay, and what do we mean by those statements? Okay, in other words, how do we decode information from those statements? Okay, that's again very, very interesting. We will use, of course, some formulas for calculating effective interest rates. Okay, and then we will also determine interest rates for any time period. The first half we will actually cover today. The last part we will cover in my next lecture. So who is using credit card? Anybody? Most of you probably are using credit cards. Anza, are you using credit card?
No, sir.
You are not using credit card. Okay. Anybody in the group who is using credit card?
Sir, I don't think we're entitled for credit cards yet.
Sorry, say it again.
Sir, I think in Pakistan we need proof of employment for credit cards.
Okay. I'm sorry. Let me actually switch off the fan because it's disturbing me. Okay. Anyways. So yes, I totally understand that. Okay. So if you do not have employment, probably banks will not give you any credit cards, which is absolutely fair. Okay. So for example, let's say the way it works is, for example, let's say if the interest rate is 15% per year, okay, in Pakistan, it's even more expensive. Okay. But the phenomena with credit cards is that it is actually very, very expensive form of credit. That's why it's called credit card. Okay, so you are using it. It's like a payment tool, but at the same time, you are using it for credit as well. So you do not have, for example, let's say any money in your bank account, but you still would like to buy, for example, let's say a laptop on Black Friday, for example. Okay, Black Friday in North America and in Europe. It's a day actually reserved for sale. So all companies, they are super aggressive on their products. They would like to clear out their inventory. Okay, so what they do, they actually reduce the prices and they would like to make maximum sales. Okay, so for example, on that particular day, you do not have enough money in your bank account. So what you could do, you can use your credit card, okay, and use it for credit it means that you actually borrow. Okay, credit means borrowing. Okay, so if you borrow money, of course you have to pay cost for it. Okay, suppose the associated cost with that borrowing is 15% per year. Okay, but the trick is, this is what actually the credit card companies normally write in fine details. Okay, so the interest rate is quoted as 15% per year, but the problem is it is compounded daily. What do we mean by compounding it daily? Okay, can anybody tell me that?
Interest of interest.
Thank you. So the profit is actually calculated on daily basis. Okay, they do not wait for the end of the year in order to calculate the interest or the profit. Okay, in fact, they are doing it on daily basis. Okay, and you will see the difference now. Okay, so for example, let's say if the calculation is done once in a year, okay, and if you borrow $1,000, and how do you borrow, by the way? You just buy a product and you do not pay for it. Okay, the credit card company does that. Okay, so the credit card company pays for your purchase. Okay, suppose they paid $1,000. So in other words, you borrowed that money from the credit card company. Okay, so if the interest rate is 15% per year, and assume that we are calculating this interest at the end of the year, how much do I need to pay in interest? It's 150. How did I calculate it? This 150, it's 1,000 multiplied by 15%, okay, which is equal to 150. Okay, so at the end of the year, I will pay 1,150, which composes of two components. The $1,000, which is called, anybody tell me what is the $1,000 called?
Principal
amount.
Is the principal amount. Thank you for that. Okay, and the 150 is actually the interest part of it. Okay, suppose now let's actually dissect this phenomena. What happens if we compound on daily basis? Okay, so let's do that. If you remember, the interest rate is 15%. So how would be the daily interest rate? The daily interest rate would be 15%, which is per year, divided by 365. It is 0.0411. Okay. Okay, I can hear some background noise. So can everybody please mute your mic? Thank you. Okay, and when I ask some questions, then of course feel free to unmute yourself. Okay. Okay, so if the interest rate per year is 15%, okay, the daily interest rate would be 0.411%. Ms. Sabahat, can you please respond to, let's say, students' queries, let's say, if you are able to do that? Okay, because I cannot go to the somehow the chat box here. Okay. Okay. So this is. Sorry, say it again. Okay. Any questions? Any concerns? Anza, any question?
No, sir.
Okay, perfect. So this is the conversion part. So we converted the yearly interest rate into daily interest rate. Okay. So suppose if I borrow 1,000 rupees, or let's say $1,000 today, how much interest would I pay for one day? It is actually 0.411. How did I calculate it? Again, the principal amount multiplied by the daily interest rate. Okay, so my total due at the end of the day would be 1,000.411. Okay, the next day, actually, I will calculate the interest rate on the new balance, which is 1,000.41. Okay, so if I calculate it, okay, and if I multiply it with the daily interest rate, my new balance would be this amount, which is the beginning balance, plus the interest rate. Okay, so this amount plus the interest rate, which is equal to this amount. Okay, so this is the day in balance for day number 2. Day number 3, my ending balance would be 1001.233. Okay, similarly, if you use Microsoft Excel, you can easily calculate it that for the 365th day, which is the last day of the year, my what's this called? Ending balance would be 1161.18. I apologize, this is 18. Okay, so as you can see, my ending balance is 1161.18. Okay, and the borrowed money was 1000. Okay, so the interest that I paid was 161.8. Okay, and if I calculate the effective rate, which is I paid $161 by borrowing $1,000. So the rate that I paid is actually 16.18%. Yes or no? Anza, is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so as you can see, my annual interest rate was actually 15%, but the effective is 16.18%. 16.18%. So this is called nominal, and this is called effective. Okay, so although the credit card company is telling me that the associated cost with this borrowing is 15% per year, okay, but once I take into account the daily compounding, my effective rate is a little bit high compared to 15%. Okay, on a smaller amount like $1,000, 1,000 rupees, it does not make a significant difference. But imagine, let's say, if you are a company, and let's say if your borrowing is millions of dollars, okay, this 1.18% addition, okay, this 1.1% additional is making a huge difference. Okay, so let's start with some basic concepts. Okay, and these are extremely important. So let's consider a simple scenario. Okay, if the interest time is equal to the compounding period, okay, and we will talk about this compounding period, okay, more in detail. For example, quarterly interest rates and the compounding is also done quarterly. Okay, what does it mean? In that situation, your nominal is equal to your effective interest rate. Okay, so if the interest period is equal to the compounding period, the nominal will be equal to effective. The difference between nominal and effective will come into play if the interest rate time is not equal to the compounding period. Okay, but in reality, the interest time is not equal to the compounding period. Example here again, as you can see here, okay, the interest rate is per year in this example, but the compounding is done on daily basis. Okay, so there is a mismatch. Whenever there is a mismatch, okay, then the nominal interest will not be equal to the effective interest rate. Example, yearly interest rates are given, but the compounding is done semi-annually. Okay, in other words, compounding is done more frequently. Okay, compounding is done more frequently because the interest rate is per year, but the compounding is twice in a year. Okay, for example, mortgages and bonds. Okay, in North America, mortgage is actually something which is very extremely actually popular. More than 90% of the people, they borrow money to buy a house. Okay, nobody has like $500,000 cash. Even if some people have it, they do not want to spend like cash on those purchases. The borrowing is cheap, So they borrow money from the banks and then they finance those purchases. Okay. So whenever the interest time is not equal to the compounding period, the nominal will not be equal to effective. In other words, we have to make distinction between nominal and effective rates. Okay. If you do not make any distinction, then you will actually get it extremely wrong. For example, for the credit card example, as I said, the nominal rate was 15%. So this was nominal. Okay. But the effective was 16.18%. Okay. This was effective. And why is there a difference? Can anybody tell me that? I just did this discussion on this slide. Why is there a difference? Effective is actually 1.18% more than nominal. Why is that?
Because of the different time period.
Effective has a compounding effect, and
That's good. Effective has compounding effect. Okay. In simple words, the compounding is done more frequently. Okay. The interest rate is quoted per year, but the compounding is more frequently, which is daily actually. Okay. So whenever the compounding is done more frequently, effective will be more than the nominal. Okay. Now, interest rate statements. Again, a very, very super important topic. Simple, but important. Okay. So whenever you see any promotion from the bank, any advertisement, let's say from a car financing company, they normally state, okay, they normally make statements about interest rates. Those are called interest rate statements. Okay. As a business graduate, okay, or as a project manager for that matter, you should be able to understand those statements. In other words, you should be able to correctly decode those statements. Okay. The terms nominal and effective enter into consideration when the interest period is less than 1 year. Okay. Do not worry about this statement. We will actually do some examples as well, and then you should be able to understand it. Okay. Now, new time-based definition is essential to understand and remember this phenomenon. Okay. So let's go through those definitions. One is interest period, which is represented by T. Okay. Example. It's a period of time over which interest is expressed. For example, 1% per month. Okay. In the credit card example, it was 15% per year. Okay. So my interest period is actually per year, 1 year. Okay. In this particular example, it is actually 1% per month. Okay. So it is the time unit, in other words, in which the interest rate is expressed. If the interest rate is expressed per year, it is per year. If it is expressed, let's say semi-annually, it is 6 months. Okay. If it is expressed quarterly, it is 3 months. Okay. The other one is compounding period. Okay. It is the shortest time unit over which interest is charged or earned. For example, 10% per year compounded monthly. Okay, so the interest rate is quoted per year, but the compounding is done monthly. Okay, now if I connect these two, okay, we have this compounding frequency, that how frequently are we compounding? In other words, how frequently are we calculating the profit for a bank? Are we doing it on yearly basis? Are we doing it on monthly basis? In the credit card example, if you remember, the compounding was done on daily basis. Okay. But in this particular example here, the compounding is done on monthly basis. So how do I link it with compounding frequency? It is the number of times, apologize, okay? It is the number of times compounding occurs within an interest period. For example, the interest period is per year here, and the compounding is done monthly. So that's why the compounding frequency is 12. Okay. For example, other example, if the interest rate is quoted 10% per year, okay, and the compounding is done on quarterly basis, okay, it means that my compounding frequency is 4 because there are 4 quarters in a year. Is that clear, Anza?
Yes, sir.
Okay, super simple. Okay, so 3 concepts, and all these definitions are actually time based. Okay, so the interest rate is quoted in a certain time unit. Okay, then we have compounding period. Okay, that how frequently are we calculating the interest or the profit. Okay, and then we have compounding frequency. Okay, oh sorry, compounding period is the shortest time, and compounding frequency is how frequently are we compounding. All right, example again. Okay, this is coming straight from the book again. If the nominal interest rate is given as 9% per year, and assume the compounding is done quarterly, okay, so what is my compounding frequency? It is 4. How? It is 12 divided by 3, okay, because there are 3 months in a quarter. Okay, so what would be my effective interest rate? Now, the conversion of monthly nominal into yearly nominal is extremely simple. Okay, so suppose if the interest rate per month, the nominal interest rate per month is 2%. Okay, can you please mute yourself? I again experience some background noise. Everybody please mute. Okay, so suppose the nominal interest rate is 2% per month, and somebody asked me, what is yearly? But again, nominal interest rate. The conversion is extremely simple. It is linear. It is 2% multiplied by 12, which is 24%. You just multiply it. Okay, it's nominal. Okay, the trick comes when it is, let's say, effective. Okay, but please pay attention. This is something very, very substantial. Okay, if the nominal is 3% per quarter, so nominal is 3% per quarter, and compounding is also done per quarter, what would be my effective rate? Any guess?
3%, sir.
3%. And why is that?
Sir, compounding per quarter and the nominal is per quarter.
Perfect. Okay. Look, the interest rate statement is such where the interest rate is quoted per quarter, but the compounding is also done per quarter. Okay, so there is no mismatch. Okay, there is no mismatch. So nominal of 3% would be exactly effective of 3%. Okay, now pay attention here. If the nominal interest rate is 9% per quarter, okay, the compounding is done quarterly, and the compounding frequency is 4. Okay, and how do I calculate, let's say, the effective rate? So if you remember, I can easily convert yearly into quarterly by simply dividing it by like 9% divided by 4, which is 2.25. Okay, so if nominal is 2.25 per quarter and the compounding is done per quarter again, okay, my effective will also be 2.25. Okay, that's why there is a simple conversion. Like, how do I convert a nominal interest rate into effective? We will cover it in detail. Okay, but in this particular example, the logic goes like this. If 9% per year is nominal, okay, per quarter nominal would be 9% divided by 4, which is 2.25. If the interest rate is per quarter, and if the compounding is also per quarter, as is here, okay, my effective rate would be exactly the same as nominal, which is 2.25. Okay, let's take another example. If the interest rate is 9% per year and the compounding is done per month, then my compounding frequency is 12. It means that the interest or the profits are calculated 12 times in a year. Okay, what would be my effective rate? It is actually 9% divided by 12. Similarly, okay, if the interest rate, the nominal interest rate is 4.5% per 6 months, okay, and the compounding is done weekly, okay, so how much compounding frequency do I have? It is 26. Why 26? Because there are 26 weeks in half year, in 6 months. Okay, and what would be my rate? It is actually 4.5% divided by 26, which is 0.173. Okay, is that clear, Anza?
से लास्ट पार्ट आप kindly दोबारा रिपीट कर
Yes,
सकते हैं?
sir.
ठीक है, मैं दोबारा रिपीट कर देता हूँ. ये देखें 6 मंथ्स के लिए आपका इंटरेस्ट रेट है क्या? 4.5%. ठीक है, तो अब मेरा नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन ये है कि यार मेरी कंपाउंडिंग पीरियड क्या है? ठीक है, वो गिवन है, वो वीकली है. ठीक है, इसका मतलब है कि हम प्रॉफिट वी आर कैलकुलेटिंग ऑन वीकली बेसिस, नॉट ऑन डेली, not on monthly. Okay, we are actually calculating profits on weekly basis. Okay, so my next thing is compounding frequency. How do you calculate compounding frequency? It is actually the time period in which the interest rate is quoted. Here it is 6 months. Okay, and here the compounding period is week. So how many compounding do we have in 6 months? Okay, so in 6 months, how many weeks do we have? 26. Yes or no?
Obviously, yes.
Okay, so the interest rate effective would be, it is 4.5% divided by 26, which is 0.173. It's straightforward. Like if for 6 months, if the interest rate is 4.5, okay, per week, how much is the interest rate? You divide it by 26. Is that clear now?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Okay, let's talk about some interest rate terminologies. One of them is, we have been talking about nominal interest rate. Okay, it is obtained by multiplying an interest rate that is expressed over a short period, okay, by the number of compounding periods in a longer time period. Now again, this definition may look like confusing, but this is straightforward. Example, if the interest rate, nominal interest rate is 1% per month, nominal interest rate for the year would be just multiplied by 12. Okay, let me give you another example. If the nominal interest rate, which is represented by the way I, okay, let's say this is 2% per quarter. Okay, and my task is to calculate yearly nominal interest rate. You multiply 2% by 4 because there are 4 quarters, which is 8%. Is that clear? It's a simple multiplication, that's it. Is it clear, Anza?
Yes, sir. You can continue easily.
Is she offline?
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. Now, effective interest rates, on the other hand, takes compounding into account.
Yes, sir. It's clear.
Okay, thank you, Anza. The nominal interest rate, as you can see, it does not take into account the number of compoundings. I mean, the compounding itself, okay? It's a straight, we call it linear transformation. You transform monthly interest rates into yearly by simply multiplying it, okay? So it's a linear transformation. Effective interest rate, on the other hand, it takes into account the compounding, okay? And how do we do that? Okay, pay attention here. Nominal interest rates are essentially simple interest rates. Therefore, they can never be used in the interest formulas. So this is something important. If you remember from my second or probably third lecture, I told you that in the industry, there is no use of nominal interest rates. We are using effective rates always, almost always, put it that way. Okay, so for example, if nominal interest rate is given in a question, okay, normally my questions are not confusing, it is stated clearly, okay? But let's say if you are attempting any other problem, if nominal interest rate is given, your first task is to convert it into effective, because in calculation of the profit or anything else, you have to use effective rates, not the nominal. So we do not use nominal rates, okay? That's why knowing how to convert nominal into effective, it is extremely important. Now, interest rate terminology. There are three general ways to express interest rates, and which are shown below. Simple interest rates, for example, a sample interest rate statement, these are samples, okay? I is equal to 2% per month, and I is equal to 12% per year, okay? Whenever the statement provides no compounding periods, okay, a rate is considered as effective, okay? As I told you, you have to decode the interest rate statements, okay? So this is the way we are decoding now. As you can see, in my previous credit card example, I give you an example of 15% per year compounding daily, okay? So this interest rate statement provides you information about the interest rate, but compounding itself as well, which is daily. Now, if you compare it with this statement, this sample statement, only the interest rate is given. There is no information about compounding, okay? So when no compounding period is given, a rate is effective. In other words, if I is equal to 10% per month, it means that the compounding is also done on monthly basis. If I is equal to 12% per year, it means that the compounding is also done on yearly basis. Okay, so if there is no information about the compounding, whatever time unit is given for the interest, okay, the compounding will also have that frequency. Is that clear, Anza?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so please take a note. If there is no information about compounding, and I'll give you time to write this because this is important. If there is no information about compounding, whatever is given for the interest rate, that is actually your compounding period. Okay, so if it is per month, the compounding is done on monthly basis. If the interest rate is per year, the compounding is done per year. Okay, so that's why the rate would be effective. Now pay attention to this statement now. Okay, if interest rate is 10% per year, and you can see the compounding is done semi-annually. Okay, now can anybody tell me in this particular situation, is this 10% effective or is it nominal?
Nominal.
Okay, and what is your reason for that?
So because that is compounded semi-annually.
Semi-annually. Okay. When the compounding period is given and it is not the same as the interest period, it is nominal. Perfect. Okay. That's a good job. Actually, you decoded the information correctly. Okay. So my 10% nominal will be translated into effective, and the effective would be, let me ask another question. So the effective rate, if I compare it with 10%, will the effective rate be more than 10%, or will it be less than 10%, or will it be equal to 10%?
Less.
So it would be more if we compound it semi-annually. Something like 11 point something percent. Around 11%.
Okay, it will be more than 10%. Why? Because the compounding is done semi-annually. Okay, so after 6 months, we will calculate the profit, we will add it to the principal, and we will calculate again the profit on the new amount at the end of the year. Okay, so the effective rate will be more than 10%. Okay, we will actually, once you solve some problems, you will be convinced actually. Okay, and again, remember, credit card interest rate was 15% per year, but the effective rate was 16.18%. Did I remember it correctly? I think so. Okay, so effective is more because of what, by the way?
डेली कंपाउंडिंग
क्या चीज? सॉरी,
डेली कंपाउंडिंग की वजह से
कंपाउंडिंग फ्रीक्वेंसी की वजह से। थैंक यू। ठीक है, कि उसकी कंपाउंडिंग ज्यादा फ्रीक्वेंटली हो रही है। ठीक है, गुड जॉब। ओके, हम इंटरेस्ट रेट को इसी तरीके से भी कोड कर सकते हैं एज यू कैन सी एट नंबर 3। ओके, सो आई इज इक्वल टू 9 effective 9.5% per year, compounded semi-annually. Okay, I is equal to effective 4% per quarter, compounded monthly. Okay, when the compounding rate is given and the rate is specified as effective, rate is effective. Okay, so once I clearly state that the rate is effective, you have to take it as effective. Okay, this is straightforward. Okay, so let me quickly recap this slide for you, because this is extremely important. If there is no compounding given, no compounding frequency given, okay, the rate would be effective. Okay, in other words, if I is equal to 2% per month, the compounding will be assumed to be monthly. Okay, if I is equal to 10% per year and the compounding is stated, which is, let's say, semi-annually here, then the 10% is nominal and the effective would be actually more than 10%. Okay, so it will be nominal. But let's say if I clearly state that the interest rate that you read on a piece of paper or in the advertisement, if it is effective, then of course you have to take it as effective. Okay, so the first two information you have to decode it. The third one is stated explicitly. Okay, let's go through interest rate statements again. Okay, this slide will give you further clarification on whatever we covered on the last slide. If the compounding period is not mentioned, okay, the CP is not mentioned. Okay, CP is the same as the period mentioned with the interest rate. Example, here CP is not mentioned. So if the interest rate is per month, CP is monthly, 12. Okay, so let's go through these statements. They're very, very interesting, so please pay attention. Let's say the statement says I is equal to 10% per year. Let me ask you this question. Is CP mentioned here?
No, sir.
And CP is compounding period, by the way.
Oh.
It's not, okay? So CP is not mentioned, okay? So we will assume that the CP is actually per year. Why per year?
Because, sir, the interest rate 10% is also per year.
Yes, thank you for that. Okay, so it is effective rate per year. Why is it effective rate per year?
सर जो इफेक्टिव रेट है सर वो नॉमिनल भी वही होगा ना सर, क्योंकि दोनों के साथ जो
Yes,
है
that's a very good answer. ठीक है, तो आपको जो इंटरेस्ट रेट पर ईयर है और आपकी कंपाउंडिंग भी पर ईयर हो रही है, ठीक है, तो योर इफेक्टिव एंड नॉमिनल विल बी द सेम. सो आपका इफेक्टिव भी यही 10% होगा. ठीक है. Okay, now let's read the other statement. I is equal to effective 10% per year compounded monthly. तो आप मुझे बताएं कि CP यहाँ पे is clearly stated, yes or no? CP is stated, okay, because it says compounded monthly, okay, so आपका CP is month, okay, and the rate itself is effective because it already says it is effective. Okay, statement number 3, I is equal to 1.5% per month, okay, यहाँ पे CP stated है? No, CP is not stated, just like this, the first one, okay, तो आपका CP क्या है? It's month, okay, so it is effective rate per month. ठीक है. Statement number 4, I is equal to effective 1.5% per month compounded monthly. ठीक है, देखिए यहाँ पे per month and the compounding is also done per month. Okay, so it is effective. Okay, बल्कि यहाँ पे लिखा हुआ है and compounded monthly are actually redundant. ठीक है, क्योंकि अगर let's say if it is effective, so it means कि वो उसकी compounding भी उस frequency के साथ हो रही है. Anyways, I is equal to effective 3% per quarter compounded daily. ठीक है, तो आपका CP stated है. CP is what? Per day. Okay, so this is now effective rate per quarter. ठीक है, because it is clearly stated. Now, let's go through nominal interest rate again. A nominal interest rate R is an interest rate that does not account for compounding. Okay, that's why, as you can see, 2% of monthly nominal rate is equal to 2% multiplied by 12 is equal to 24% per year for nominal rate. Okay, so the conversion is linear, you just multiply it. Okay, by definition, let's say R is the interest rate period per time period multiplied by the number of periods, as I did here. Okay, example again for nominal interest rates. If time period is 24 months, okay, so nominal interest rate by equation 4.1 is actually from the book, okay, and let's say the interest rate per month is 1.5. So for 24 months, what would be the interest rate? You simply multiply it by 24. For 12 months, simply multiply it by 12. 6 months multiplied by 6. 3 months multiplied by 3. Okay, so it's a linear transformation. Okay, it's a linear transformation. Effective, on the other hand, it is represented by I. Okay, compounding of the interest rate is considered, and it is commonly expressed on annual basis. However, any time basis may be used. Okay, most of the time it is quoted, it is stated on annual basis. Okay, but of course any time basis can be used. An effective rate may not always include the compounding period in the statement. Oh, that's very true. Okay, what happens, let's say, if the compounding period is not given? Whatever interest rate period is given in whatever time unit, we will use the same frequency for compounding. Yes? Is that clear, Anza?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Okay, now effective interest rate per compounding period, CP stands for compounding period. So let's say if R is the percentage per time and it's T, and M is the compounding period per T, then your effective rate would be R divided by M. Example, assume R is equal to 9% per year, compounded monthly, then M is equal to 12, and your effective rate would be 9% divided by 12, which is equal to 0.75. N is actually the number of compoundings. Okay? So 9% per year would be translated into monthly like this, 9% divided by 12. Okay? How do I convert it, let's say, into daily? Okay, it's 9% divided by 365. Okay? But do not forget to write this unit. Okay, so let's say if I ask somebody, what's your weight? And he or she tells me, for example, let's say 63. Okay, and if you do not write kg, okay, most likely it will be kg. You have to write the time unit. Otherwise, you will come up with an incomplete answer. All right, so how do I derive a formula in which I convert nominal interest rate into effective interest rates? The mathematical derivation of this formula is extremely simple. Okay, for example, the interest rate which is quoted is I% per time period. Okay, these are the number of CPs. For example, let's say this is daily. Okay, so if I deposit P dollars today, after one period, it will be P into 1 plus I. Okay, at the end of period number 2, it will be 1 plus I raised to the power 2. Please do not confuse it with the number of years. Okay, we are talking about number of CPs now, compounding periods. It may be month, it can be days, it can be, let's say, quarterly, it can be anything. Okay, now this I corresponds to this compounding period. So it may be daily, as I said. Okay, period number 3, it would be 1 plus I raised to the power 3. And suppose there are M number of compoundings, okay, in this time period, like starting from here until here. Okay, so my amount in my, let's say the deposit in my bank account would be P into 1 plus I raised to the power M minus 2. Okay, so as you can see, the pattern, the power 1 is coming actually from here, power of 2 is coming from here, power of 3 is coming from here. So similarly, amount at the end of M minus 2 periods, I will have P into 1 plus I raised to the power M minus 2 in my account. At M, I would have P into 1 plus I raised to the power M. Okay, and suppose my annualized, this is annual rate, okay, is IA. I underscore A. Okay, so my future value is equal to 1 plus P into IA, which is P into 1 plus IA. Okay, so what did I assume? I assume that, let's say, the effective rate starting from this period until this period is actually IA. Okay, and what does this I correspond? This I corresponds actually to the interest rate for each period. Okay, for each period. So as you can see, my F at the end of the period M was P into 1 plus I raised to the power M. And suppose my annualized rate is only IA. Okay, so my future value is 1 plus IA. And I equate both of these. Okay, I equate both of these. And my formula looks like 1 plus I underscore A is equal to 1 plus I raised to the power M. Okay, so my annualized effective rate is equal to 1 plus I raised to power m minus 1. Now this is a more generalized formula. Okay, if you remember from chapter number 2, this is the way we calculated actually the future value from a present value. Okay, so similarly, if I rearrange, okay, I, which is this value, is equal to 1 plus I underscore a raised to power 1 minus 1 over m minus 1. Okay, so this is the way we calculate the effective interest rate. Okay, before I forget, Anza, let me mark attendance. All right. Are you able to see my screen, Anza?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Okay, example number 1, super straightforward. For a nominal interest rate of 12% per year, determine the nominal and effective rates per year. Let's say number A, quarterly, and number B, monthly compounding. What if, let's say, the compounding is done quarterly, and what if, let's say, the compounding is done monthly? So how do I convert those numbers? Okay, so how do I determine, let's say, number 1, the nominal rate, and number 2, the effective rate per year? Okay, so nominal rate, which is R per year, is equal to 12%. Okay, it is given here. Okay, and how do I convert it into nominal quarterly? Okay, I divide it by 4. 12% divided by 4 is equal to 3% per quarter. Straightforward, isn't it? Okay, nominal is only multiplication. Okay, and the reverse conversion would be division. Yes or no?
Yes.
Perfect. If the nominal is 12% per year, quarterly would be just divided by 4. Daily would be divided by 365. Okay, but how do I calculate the effective rate, which is represented by I? Okay, so the formula that we derived here, okay, on my previous 2 slides, okay, it is 1 plus I raised to power m minus 1. Okay, and what is my I corresponding to quarter? Is 0.03%. Okay, raised to the power 4 minus 1. Why 4? Because m is equal to 4. Why m is equal to 4?
सर क्योंकि आई हमारे पास क्वार्टरली है.
Yes, I quarterly है, तो एक साल में आपके 4 quarters हैं. ठीक है? So as you can see now, pay attention here. This is important. Your effective rate per year is 12.55%. Okay, nominal मेरा कितना था? Nominal was 12%. Effective is 12.55%. ठीक है? Okay, a very straightforward question for you. Industry में, in real life, are we using effective rate for calculation or nominal rate for calculations?
Effective rates.
Effective rates. Thank you. Okay, क्योंकि आपको question ये होगा कि why do we bother, let's say, why are we converting nominal into effective? Because we need it in our calculation. ठीक है? अच्छा, B में क्या है? ठीक है? What if, let's say, the compounding is done on a monthly basis? So let's say if your nominal interest rate is 12% per year, it is 12% divided by 12, which is 1% per month. That is the conversion for nominal. Okay, again, linear transformation. Either you multiply or you divide. Okay, effective rate, on the other hand, is IA, which is annualized effective rate per year, is equal to 1 plus I raised to power m minus 1. Okay, here now m is equal to 12. Okay, because there are 12 months in a year. Okay, the compounding is done on monthly basis. Okay, so my effective rate would be 12.68. Okay, so if I compare effective rate in option A with effective rate of option B's effective rate is more than option A's. Why is that?
सर क्योंकि
सर
वो
उधर
हर
फ्रीक्वेंसी डिफरेंट है।
हो रहा है, वो सिर्फ 4 टाइम्स कंपाउंड हो रहा है, तो जितना ज्यादा कंपाउंडिंग होगी उतना ज्यादा रेट आएगा हमारे पास।
Full
Effective
marks. Full marks. ठीक है? You're
तो
talking
सर
now like a business graduate. Good job. ठीक
सर
है?
फिर मैं मिड
क्या चीज?
सर फिर मैं मिड नहीं देता।
अब क्या नहीं करते? सॉरी।
कुछ नहीं सर।
अरे बता दो यार, हमें भी थोड़ा सा हंसने का मौका दे दे।
सर मैंने कहा फिर मेरे अगर फुल मार्क्स है तो मैं मिड नहीं देता।
अच्छा, मिड नहीं देते तो अगर फुल मार्क्स को 0 से मल्टीप्लाई करते हैं तो उसकी क्या आएगा? इक्वल टू क्या हो जाएगा?
सर 0।
आयशा बशे। ठीक है, तो ये तो फिर मतलब चक्कर पड़ेगा ना। एनीवेज, बट गुड जॉब। ठीक है, बिकॉज इन ऑप्शन बी द compounding frequency is more. Okay, it is more frequently compounding. Okay, now question for you. अगर let's say हम daily करें compounding, तो आपका जो effective rate होगा, will it be more than 12.6%, equal to 12.68%, or less than 12.68%?
ग्रेटर होगा।
Greater होगा। Good job. ठीक है? Okay, let's move forward. Example number 2. Okay, for an interest rate of 1.2 per month, determine the nominal and effective rates per quarter and per year. ठीक है, अब यहां पे nominal interest rate क्या given है? 1.2% per month. Okay, so if I would like to convert it into quarterly, multiply it by 3. पहले क्वेश्चन में डिवीजन इन्वॉल्व था, इसमें मल्टीप्लिकेशन है, बट सिंपल है। पर मंथ गिवन है, पर क्वार्टर क्या होगा? 3 से मल्टीप्लाई करें, ऐसा ही है। ओके, सो दिस 3.6%। अब इसका करस्पॉन्डिंग इफेक्टिव क्या होगा? दिस 1 plus I divided by m raised to power m minus I is equal to, this is a more generalized formula actually. इसकी डेरिवेशन है बुक में, आप देख लें, बहुत सिंपल है। ठीक है, so it is 1 plus 0.36 divided by 3 raised to power 3 minus 1. ठीक है, so my effective is 3.64% per quarter. Okay, so मेरा nominal was 3.6, but my effective is 3.65. ठीक है, what if let's say the compounding it's a per year. Okay, अब आप यहाँ पे देखें, nominal per year would be 1.2% multiplied by 12, which is 14.4% per year. इसका effective क्या होगा? It is 1 plus I raised to power m. M is 12 raised to power 12 minus 1. Why 12? Because it is, how many months do we have in a year? It's 12. Okay, so my effective rate would be 12.39%. Is that easy or is it difficult? Anza.
Very easy.
Easier. Good. Okay, let's move forward. Last 2 problems and then we are good. Okay.
सर
Yes, sir.
सर अगर हमारे पास इफेक्टिव रेट पर ईयर है तो उसे मंथली में कैसे कन्वर्ट करेंगे?
इफेक्टिव रेट अगर आपके पास पर ईयर है,
जी
ठीक है, तो उसको मंथली में कैसे कन्वर्ट करेंगे?
यस
ठीक है, इसका मैं अभी आपको एक प्रॉब्लम बता रहा हूं, तो उसमें आपको कन्वर्जन का आइडिया हो जाएगा। ठीक है,
ओके
यस, ओके। So the Second National Bank of Fullerton advertises an APR of 14% compounded monthly for student loans. North America में student loans are extremely common. Okay, और वो लोग APR, they publish APR, information about APR. Okay, तो हम यहाँ पे देखेंगे APR है क्या। Determine the APY, again technical term. Show hand and spreadsheet calculation. हम सिर्फ hand calculation show करेंगे, ठीक है? तो आपका जो APR है, ये book में भी given है. It is annual percentage rate, okay? And this is actually nominal. This is another name given to nominal interest rate. APY, on the other hand, it is annual percentage yield. Okay, banking language में इसको APY कहते हैं, ठीक है? But it is effective rate. ठीक है? तो क्या है कि आपने nominal को effective में convert करना है. That's the whole problem. Okay, how do we do that? It is 1 plus 0.14 divided by 12 raised to power 12 minus 1, which is 14.93. Why this 12? Because 12 months in a year. ठीक है? तो आपका लेट्स से 14% अगर पर ईयर है नॉमिनल, ओके, तो 14 डिवाइड बाय 12 वो आपका हो जाएगा नॉमिनल पर मंथ, ठीक है? रेस्ट टू पावर 12 बिकॉज देयर आर 12 कंपाउंडिंग्स माइनस 1 आपका आ जाएगा 14.93 पर ईयर. ओके, नाउ कमिंग बैक टू योर क्वेश्चन सर, ठीक है? फॉर एन इफेक्टिव रेट of IA of 15.87% compounded quarterly, determine the effective rate per quarter and the nominal annual rate. ठीक है? तो इसकी मैं quarterly में कैसे convert करूंगा effective को, ये आप देख लेना. ये देखें, हमें this formula is already given. ठीक है? So I is equal to 1 plus 0.1587 raised to power 1 over 4 minus 1. ओके, क्योंकि आपका जो इफेक्टिव जो रेट है एनुअलाइज, इट इज 15.87%. ठीक है? यू रीअरेंज, ठीक है, जहां पे हमने, लेट मी शो इट टू यू. Hello, can you hear me, Anza?
Yes, sir.
Okay, apologize. We totally got disconnected because of electricity shutdown. Okay, so I'm actually connected back to my hotspot. So I apologize for that. Okay, let me share my screen again. Are you able to see my screen again?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so as you can see, this is the formula that we derived. Okay, so we just rearranged this formula, okay, to get this one. Okay, so let's go back. You plug in the numbers, okay, and you get a quarterly effective interest rate of 3.75% per quarter. Okay, so this is the way you convert an annual effective interest rate into quarterly effective interest rates. This is the way you do it. Okay, now how do you calculate, let's say, the how do you check if your answer is correct? Okay, you do this 0.0375 raised to power 4 minus 1. Okay, it should be equal to this rate. Okay, let me actually do the calculation. Okay, please bear with me. 1.0. Okay, it's exactly 15.87. Okay, it's just like rearranging the formula and try to work it back. Let's say if it is 15.87. Okay, how do you calculate the nominal annual rate corresponding to this rate? Okay, again, because of differences in, for example, the compounding is done quarterly, but if the annualized rate is, of course, quoted per year, so of course there will be a difference between nominal and effective. Okay, so my effective rate would be 15%. And how do I do that? Okay, if my compounding is done quarterly, and if my effective is 3.7 per quarter, my nominal will also be 3.75% per quarter. Okay, because if the time units of the interest rate and the compounding, if they're exactly the same, so my nominal and effective will be exactly the same. Okay, so if the effective is 3.75, my nominal will also be 3.75 per quarter, and I simply multiply it with 4 to get 15%. But in order to get actually the annualized rate for compounding, I use this formula. I cannot simply multiply it with 4. No, I have to use this formula. Okay. Any questions so far? Anza, any question?
No, sir.
Okay. This one, as I said, a straightforward, easy topic, but trust me, if you do not practice some numericals, okay, you will find it a little bit confusing. This is what my experience is with my previous students, okay? Those students were equally smart, good students, okay? Those students who practiced, they performed really well actually on their exams. Okay, so my suggestion would be pick a book and solve at least 2 to 3 questions at the chapter end. Okay, if you do not have any questions, I thank you very much for your attention. I apologize again for the slight disruption, but this is something not in my control, unfortunately. Okay, so inshallah, I'll see you in my next lecture. As I said, go through the lecture slides and practice. I think one student from another group or maybe from this group asked me some specific questions about the assignment. Okay, unfortunately, I cannot provide you those solutions. Okay, if you have any confusion, go through the recorded lecture again. Okay, watch those lectures. Go through the book. Assignment is meant actually. It should be in a way, in my opinion, which forces you to go through the material and look for solutions yourself. Okay, that's the whole learning experience. Okay, I thank you very much, as I said, for your attention, and inshallah I'll see you in my next lecture. Assalamu alaikum.